Let me guess, you've looked at business ideas like drop shipping, crypto, Amazon FBA, maybe starting a marketing agency, and every time it feels either way too complicated or the market is already completely saturated. I know that feeling because 5 years ago that was me. My name's Aiden, and instead of chasing trends, I built a simple food business most people overlook. One that sells lunches to offices and regularly books multi-thousand-dollar catering orders. And here's a part that usually stops people in their tracks. This business doesn't rely on ads. It doesn't depend on foot traffic, and it doesn't require cooking, fancy menus, or restaurant experience. In fact, the entire model is built around doing less, not more. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how micro-catering works and why selling one simple food to one type of customer has allowed me to keep over 60% of each order as profit and build predictable, recurring revenue. If you're looking for a straightforward business that actually makes sense, stick with me because this might be the opportunity you've been missing. Now, before your brain jumps to conclusions, let me clarify something. When people hear food business, they immediately picture restaurants or food trucks with long hours, thin margins, and constant stress. But that's not what this is. Micro-catering doesn't compete in that world at all. Instead of chasing walk-in customers or one-off orders, this business focuses on a single group of people, the ones responsible for feeding offices. These are the decision makers who already have large budgets. They already order food, and as you can see right here on the screen, they already spend thousands of dollars at a time to make their job easier. Here's the key difference. With micro-catering, you sell one simple food, sandwiches, to one specific customer, corporate offices, and you ignore everyone else. That's it, right? There's no giant menu, no advanced culinary skills necessary, and there's no guessing what people want. You're not trying to be the best sandwich shop in town. You're positioning yourself as the easiest, most reliable option for office lunches. It's a different game we're playing. And once an office likes working with you, something powerful happens. They don't shop around, they don't negotiate, they just reorder week after week, month after month. That's why this model is predictable. A $2,000 order doesn't stay a $2,000 order. It turns into a recurring relationship that can easily be worth $24,000 or more per year from a single office. Now zoom out for a second. Every city has offices with 20, 50, 100, even 400 employees, and every one of those offices is already spending money on food, whether you're there or not. Micro-catering isn't about creating demand. It's about stepping into demand that already exists and positioning yourself as the obvious choice. Corporate office catering is a massive growing market, projected to reach around $77 billion this year, and it keeps growing every year. Why? Because companies are doing everything they can to get employees back into the office. And the cheapest, most effective incentive they've found is simple: free lunch. That means this demand exists regardless of the economy. Offices rely on it. And here's the key point most people miss. You don't need hundreds of clients to win. You only need a small number of recurring office customers to build a very real and very profitable business. Because once an office finds someone who's reliable, someone who makes their job easier, they stop looking around. They reorder. That's how a single $1,000 order turns into a long-term relationship instead of a one-time sale. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds good, but anyone can say anything on the internet, and you'd be right to think that. So instead of me telling you this works, let me show you real quick. On the screen right now, you're seeing real orders from my micro-catering business. These are offices booking lunches, $2,500, $2,600, $5,800, $1,900, $1,600. Getting high-ticket orders over $1,000 aren't rare. These are regular orders from companies that come back again and again. And one thing I want to point out here is that these orders, they don't come on weekends, they aren't weddings, these aren't special events with a ton of extra work involved. This is what predictable revenue actually looks like. And once I started seeing orders like these come in, with tips added on top, that's when it really clicked for me how differently offices buy food when it's on the corporate card. Now, let me give you some context. Before developing my micro-catering business, I owned and operated 2 pizzerias. Like most restaurant owners, I spent a lot of time, focused on individual orders, selling one pizza at a time and grinding nonstop. Eventually, I realized something. The real money wasn't in walk-in business. It was in feeding groups. So I shifted almost all of my attention to catering offices. Instead of trying to sell more pizzas, more individual pizzas, I focused on feeding 50, 100, even 400 people at once. And when I made that shift, revenue nearly doubled. That experience is what led me to strip the model down even further. No dining room, no food truck, no giant menu, just one simple food and one type of customer, people who order for the whole office. And once I built the business this way, everything became easier to scale, easier to manage, and far more profitable. This isn't a crazy idea that should work. It's the result of over a decade in the food industry learning what actually works and removing everything that doesn't. Now let's talk about the part most people never fully understand, the economics. Traditional restaurants are brutal businesses. Most fail within a few years, and even the ones that survive are usually working on razor-thin margins. If you're lucky, you're keeping 5 to 10% of total sales after rent, staff, utilities, waste, and stress. That means that a restaurant might need to do $50,000 to $75,000 a month in sales just to break even. That's exhausting. Micro-catering works on completely different math. Because you don't have a dining room, you don't have servers, and you don't have constant overhead. What's left is a much cleaner business model. When run correctly, it's realistic to take home at least 50% of total sales. And as you scale and build recurring office clients, 60% margins are absolutely achievable. Let that sink in for a second. In a restaurant, you grind all month to maybe make money at the end. In micro-catering, one solid $1,000 order can cover your break-even for the month. Everything after that is profit. And this is why I've been so intentional about going after high-value orders instead of discounting. I've been in the food industry since 2013, and if there's one lesson that time teaches you, it's this. You don't win by racing to the bottom on price. You win by positioning yourself where larger orders are normal. Micro-catering is built to do exactly that. Fewer customers, larger orders, better margins, and far less chaos. That's the difference between owning a stressful job and owning a scalable business. Now here's the part most people don't expect. This business works because it's simple, not because it's complicated. When people hear the words food business, they imagine chefs, recipes, equipment, and massive menus. And that's exactly what makes those businesses hard. Micro-catering strips all that away. You sell one type of food, right? Sandwiches. You sell to one type of customer, corporate offices. That's it. That's absolutely it. You're not running a restaurant. You're not managing a kitchen staff. You're not cooking complex meals. Most days, the work is slicing bread, slicing meats, cheeses, and veggies, and then assembling simple, familiar sandwiches and delivering them to an office that already wants what you're offering. And once you hire help, it becomes even simpler. Here's the important part. You don't need to test recipes. You don't need to invent a menu, and you don't need experience in the food industry. Classic sandwiches already sell. Ham and cheddar, turkey and provolone, Italian cold cuts. People don't order office lunches to be impressed. They order because they need something reliable that shows up on time and makes them look good at work. That's why this model scales so well. Once you remove unnecessary complexity, what you're left with is a repeatable system, one that anyone willing to follow a clear process can run, and that's exactly what I teach. Now, this is the point where most people ask the same question. Okay, but how do I actually do this? And that's exactly why I built Six Figure Catering University. It's a step-by-step program that walks you through how to start and grow a micro-catering business the exact way I do it, without guessing and without wasting time. Inside the program, I show you everything from the ground up. So we start with super simple stuff. How to name and brand your business, how to set up banking and payments properly, how to find a place to operate from without owning a restaurant. But more importantly, I show you how to land customers and how to keep them coming back regularly, placing orders month after month, year after year. You're going to see exactly how to identify the highest value offices in your area, how to reach the right decision makers, and how to position yourself so you're booking $1,000, $3,000, even $5,000 orders instead of chasing small one-off jobs. You'll also get my exact templates, word-for-word scripts, and marketing materials, the same ones that I use in my own business. This is work that took me years to test, refine, and dial in, but you're getting it on day one. The goal here is simple. I'm trying to get you to skip the trial and error phase and move straight into the execution phase so you can focus on building momentum and revenue as fast as possible. Now, let me set expectations real quick the right way. This isn't a shortcut. It's not the type of business where you push a button and you print $100,000. Those types of businesses don't exist. What does exist is a simple, proven business model that works when you're willing to follow a clear process and actually put in the effort. So you're going to have trainings that walk you through every step of the process, but I can't build a business for you or show up in your city and network on your behalf. Execution still matters. That said, if you follow the system the way it's designed, reaching your first $10,000 month within 90 days isn't a stretch. That's the plan, and I'm confident enough in that promise to back it up. So if you follow the framework and don't hit that milestone within 3 months, I'll refund your investment and you'll keep everything that you've built along the way. Now, let me quickly address a few things I know some of you are thinking. If you're worried that you don't have food or restaurant experience, don't worry because you don't need it. This isn't a chef business, right? If you can follow a simple set of instructions and assemble sandwiches, then you can 100% run this model. If you don't like sales, that's fine too. You're gonna get word for word scripts and a value-based approach that makes these conversations feel natural, not pushy. And if you're thinking, I could probably figure this out on my own, well, here's the thing, you're right, you probably could, but it would likely take years of trial and error. This is about collapsing that timeline. So here's who this is for. If you want a business with low startup costs, high margins, recurring revenue, and a clear way to stand out locally, and you're also willing to put in a few months of focused effort, then we should talk. If you're looking for something hands-off, instant or effortless, something along those lines, then this really isn't the right fit, and that's okay. But for everyone who's interested in launching a micro-catering business and dominating your local market, the next step is simple. There's a link below this video to apply for a one-on-one call with me. I keep the application short because I'm selective about who I work with. And if it looks like a good fit, then I'm gonna personally reach out to confirm your call. This conversation will give you clarity on whether this business path makes sense for you. If you're the type of person who wants to build a proven business and control your income, go grab your spot on my calendar now before availability fills up. If this feels obvious to you, then that's usually a sign you're seeing something most people overlook. I can promise you this conversation will be the most valuable time you invest in your business future this year. All right, my friends, I look forward to chatting with you very soon. Take care.